Hey, how's it going, guys? It's me, your boy CEO, and welcome to another episode of the Behind the Struggle podcast. And well, today I want to do something a little bit different. As you all may or may not know, I'm a rapper, but I also have a background in film, animation, and illustrative media. And one thing that I've always struggled with is procrastination. And because the name of our podcast is Behind the Struggle, maybe a little too on the nose, I want to talk about struggling and dealing with procrastination and try to help give you guys some tips on dealing with it. I feel it's a common thing that we all deal with daily, especially creatives. We're constantly putting things off till later until we feel we're in the mood or inspired to do whatever task that may be. It could be something as simple as taking out the trash, doing the dishes, walking the dog, writing a paper or song, homework, working out, whatever. At some point in all of our lives, we've put off a simple task that may have only taken a few minutes to an hour out of our day, but in our mind, we've built it up to be this huge thing that we need to overcome, and it prevents us from even attempting the effort into the last minute. And then we feel stressed or overwhelmed, but it was our own doing. Now, before we can deal with procrastination, we should have an understanding of what procrastination is. So, what is it? Procrastination is an example of present bias. It's the idea that we can set whatever goal we want for our future selves, but it's our present selves that need to actually do the action to get there. Procrastination is also a form of stress relief. We've all got things going on in our lives, and there's this pattern that follows. In the case of procrastination, the trigger is always stress. The pattern is to avoid doing something, and the reward is you get a little stress relief. Now, look, we're never going to get rid of stress in our lives, but we can change our pattern of avoiding work and how we deal with it. More times than not, the hardest part is getting started. So the next time you feel yourself hesitate, here are some tips that have helped me and I hope can help you get out of putting things off to the last minute. The first one I like to call the 2-minute rule. So if you have any pending task that could be done in less than 2 minutes, then you should do it right away. And that could be something as simple as just, cleaning a cup or the dishes or taking out the trash. Because it's a way of tricking your mind into just doing something and just getting it done right away instead of building it up, and now all these little things build up to be this whole chore that you have to do. Like, oh, I gotta do this, then this, and do this. Just get it out the way, and you're tricking your mind by telling yourself it's only 2 minutes and it's gonna take me no time, 120 seconds, that's it. Now when it comes to tasks that will take more than 2 minutes, here are some other tricks. This one, I guess we can call it the 5-minute rule. So if you find yourself procrastinating from something that you have to do, then just tell yourself you will do it for a time frame of 5 minutes. It's basically another way of tricking your brain into doing something under the guise that it'll be for a short period of time. And before you know it, you'll actually be doing the task for a longer period than 5 minutes. But you've tricked your brain to get comfortable with the idea that it's simple. It's not going to require a lot of energy on your part. And like I said, once you get started, you'll realize that that momentum will carry you the rest of the way. Are you guys seeing kind of like a pattern here? It's almost like breaking things down. So that brings me to my next point. Keep the task small. The hardest part in getting work done, like I said prior, is just getting started. So break up the task in time intervals, like spend 25 minutes at the task, then take a 5-minute break, then return for another 25 minutes and repeat. But every time you come for those 25 minutes of work, focus on just one small part of the bigger task. So an example, let's say you have to study for 3 hours. Well, instead of studying for 3 hours straight, which would cause you to get distracted very easily, Do it for 25 minutes. This small task, and it becomes far less daunting. Plus, it makes it easier to start and stay focused at the task at hand. This actually reminds me of a story that Will Smith once told, or like an analogy. And it's basically about building a brick wall, or a wall in general, but we're going to use bricks, as he said in his story. And basically, he said is that you don't set out and say, I'm going to make the best wall ever. You want to start small. So you only focus and say, I'm going to lay this brick as perfect as a brick can be laid. And once you repeat that process over and over again, you'll realize then you have your wall. But it's all about just minimizing it, taking this giant thing that we make it into our minds and make it smaller. Now, the third one is minimize distractions. This way, you don't allow that impulse to pull you away from the task at hand. So, if you had to put your phone face down, or even better, put on airplane mode and leave it silenced for the time being. If you're working in your room, turn off the TV, just turn off the picture mode, whatever, because you're trying to minimize your focus being pulled away from the task at hand at something else. And the last one is called the mind activation rule. It's this mental slump that we hit more commonly when we get home from work and we're tired and can't be bothered to do anything else. We just want to chill on the couch, relax for a couple of minutes is what we always tell ourselves. Put something on the TV like Netflix or whatever. But we're actually just procrastinating from the things that we need to do. So the mind activation rule is recognizing that feeling when it comes over us and then finding something to stimulate our minds. Something that could help is something like acknowledge the stress, then count down from 5, which will then interrupt the procrastination habit. Then do whatever task it is you need to do for just 5 minutes. So you can almost kind of mix and match some of these other tips and tricks to kind of help break you out of that habit that we usually find ourselves falling into, because procrastination is a habit. And just like any habit, it can be broken. All right. And so to reiterate, we've got the 2-minute rule, which, any pending task that could be done in less than 2 minutes. Then you have the 5-minute rule, which is a way of tricking your brain into doing something by making it seem smaller than it actually is, which then rolls into number 3. Keep the task small or break it down into smaller chunks. So, just doing it in blocks of 25-minute intervals and then taking 5-minute breaks in between. Number 4, minimize distractions, anything that can pull you away from what you're trying to focus on. And then last is the mind activation rule. Basically recognizing procrastination when it starts to settle in, so this way you can break that habit. All right, guys, well, that was really it. I wanted to do something a little bit different. I know this is shorter than our usual episodes, but you guys let me know what you think. Did you like this? Do you guys want me to do more of this kind of thing? I'm curious to hear you guys' thoughts, and hopefully this was helpful. With that said, guys, I'm your host, CEO. You can follow all my media links to my music, film, clothing, everything at thisisceo.com, and I'll catch you guys on the next one, all right? Everybody, take care and be well.